I'm an engineer. I work in the medical device industry, and I've been in this house for 3 years, and Cindy and I got together a little bit after I had purchased the house.
And my passion is exercise and fitness. I love fitness. That's the field I'm going into. I'm also very social and I love to entertain. I've got a great group of friends and love to entertain people. We love travel, boating, things like that, downhill skiing. Love to be active, but we love being at home in a comfortable home, and we love to entertain people in our home, family, and
Decided
friends.
that we needed to make the place better. There was definite improvements that needed to be made. There was a lot of opportunity to make the house much more than what it already was. Our journey started about a little over a year ago, and we attended a convention downtown Minneapolis for house remodelers. And we basically had the thought that we wanted to do this work, and we went down there to start meeting contractors and looking at ideas for the house and getting ideas for what we wanted to do with the house. So our first process was to think about what areas of the house we wanted to improve. And so the kitchen was definite. We had some thoughts there. Cindy came up with a wonderful idea of putting a wine room into a downstairs room that was used for toy storage that were no longer being used.
We like wine tastings. We love wine, and in some of our travels and my travels, I've been to various locations with great wine cellars. So that was something, a vision of mine that I've always had, that I've always wanted.
Okay. And the process went forward by meeting several contractors at this convention, and we set appointments shortly after that. Murphy Brothers was one of the contractors, and we met with about a half dozen contractors and told them about our ideas, what we were looking to do. We went through details of all of the different rooms we were going to want to renovate, and we started listening to what they had to say, what kind of input they gave, what the people were like, what their businesses were like, what the basis of their business was with respect to resources they had available, facilities, how they managed their projects, and a lot about how they went about the design process too, because we knew there was going to be a heavy design process. And in the end, Murphy Brothers, looking at the work that they had done, their experience level, the personnel that we had met, they won us over based on all of the different contractors we had talked to. And it was obvious to us after we had finished that process who the best one was for what we were looking for.
Yeah, I think the personalities had a lot to do with it too. They seemed like they would be very good to work with, very easy to work with, and I had a very comfortable feeling from the first time that I met them that they would be the ones after we met them. We still met with others after we met them, but I think it was an easy decision after we discussed the various contractors to go with Murphy Brothers.
Everything went very smoothly, we felt. We were actually very impressed with how organized Murphy Brothers was in managing the project overall. They had schedules, they had the correct people identified for each stage of the process. The people that we worked with were very professional. We never had any issues with that, and we had a lot of fun doing it. We spent a lot of time, and they were very committed and did what it took to get us through the process, and they were not afraid to spend the time with us, so we never felt like we were rushed with respect to trying to get things done, and that was nice. I mean, there were many evenings we spent in the meeting room at Murphy Brothers facility, going through drawings and the design 3D models to see what the designers had come with, what Cherie Poisson had come up with, and what John and their crew were presenting to us. So we had a lot of opportunity to go through things with a fine-tooth comb, to look at a lot of different materials, and we did a lot of work on our own too. We were doing a great amount of research on the internet, looking for different materials and finding the types of things that we wanted to go into the project, just drawing from whatever source we could find. They did a great job directing us. very satisfied. I could not have better things to say than how Murphy Brothers managed the process and kept it very organized, especially with a tight timeline to get us to the remodeler showcase. They did the entire process of construction starting in early December and ended in late March. And for the amount of work that was done, that was a very short amount of time.
Right, and they were very accessible. Communication was amazing with them, especially with Cherie. She was constantly in communication with us, even though we weren't living at the house, constantly giving us updates, letting us know what was going on. And even though we did a lot of work in getting the materials, they allowed us to do that. They would do as much as we wanted. They would have done all of that if they wanted to, or if we wanted them to, they would have done all of the material sourcing, but we chose to do some of that, and they were very willing to work with us and allow us to do that.
The previous kitchen was rather enclosed, and the surfaces, the area was worn out, so you could tell the age. The house was built in 1985. It was one of the areas that we found that we spent most of our time in the house in. We were always sitting in the kitchen, and we realized that sitting in the kitchen that we had this beautiful view through all these windows looking into the treetops behind our house, and that we couldn't really enjoy that when we were sitting in the kitchen, but that's where we wanted to be because it was just the natural meeting place. And so we started thinking about how we could change the layout of the room, and we fortunately had a lot of extra area and some walls that we could take out to increase that view and open up the space and make it much more pleasant. And so that was the driving force behind changing the kitchen.
Right, one of the first things I noticed about this house when I walked in was the amazing view and all of the windows and the trees. But when you walked into the house, when you walked into the kitchen, you immediately saw a wall and not the view. So the view was totally hidden or partially hidden. And also when we would have people come over, everyone would congregate in the kitchen, and it was very small for that purpose.
Many of the ideas came from us. We had a good idea of what we wanted, but that's definitely not to say that they didn't contribute a lot to the design. Ours were general ideas on what we wanted to do, and they really added the details and made them finished ideas. So we worked well together in that we were able to easily describe to them what we wanted to accomplish. And they got to know us, and they got to know what our style was, what kind of materials we liked, what kind of feel we liked in the house, what our favorite areas were. And then we took it from there.
Right, and they always gave us several options and choices too, not just one idea, but would lay out several different ideas for us to choose from, which made it easy to look at the different plans and decide what would work for us and the advantages of one plan over another.
Our design experience with Murphy Brothers, it was very separate from the construction part of the project. So the way it was presented was that we contracted them to do the design work, and the decision was ours to decide if we would have Murphy Brothers or another contractor do the construction work. And we chose to continue on with Murphy Brothers. We had very good confidence in their capability. The process in itself for the design, it started by us going through the house, a walkthrough with the people who were involved in doing the design work, and identifying all the areas in the house that we wanted to have work done. We pointed things out, they pointed things out. We had thorough conversations about how we should do things with respect to what areas should be improved, completely redone, updated, what have you. So that was at the beginning, and then once that occurred, we went forward with design concepts with them, and they took the ideas we had and started creating 3D models of the major spaces. And those 3D models were extremely helpful to us to envision what the areas were going to look like. And some of the areas like the kitchen, we looked at about a half dozen, maybe more, I would say 8 to 10 different layouts, particularly with the kitchen of what the space would look like and how we would design it. And so it was quite involved, and that was good because it allowed us to to get a lot of creativity from them, and we also felt very positive that they took and listened to our input, whether it was positive or negative about the models that they were putting together.
Right, and with the 3D software too, we were actually able to sit at Murphy Brothers and they made changes on the computer right in front of our eyes that we could say, you know, what would it look like if we shortened this counter or lengthened this space. That was really helpful in making decisions too.
And they even took care of us by feeding us while we were there.
Yes.